Rahim. Today I will be talking about lab number 13, that is basically to display and manipulate the output of jump and control instructions using emulator 8086 software tool. Basically the main objectives of today's lab is to learn about the conditional instruction or control instructions. There are different type of jump instructions. First is conditional jump and second one is unconditional jump. So in that lab we are going to study about both type of jump. First, that is conditional and unconditional. Then we will be also discussing about the subroutines by using these control instructions, and lastly I will be explaining about the labels using in assembly language. So first of all, I'm going to explain about the labels. That what are the labels? Basically, label are English word followed by a full colon sign. These labels are just they are not the part of assembly language syntax. They are just as you can say representative for something. For example, as all of you know that in C language you declare labels like any name then followed by a full colon, and you used a go-to statement to jump to that point to that label. So basically, similarly in assembly language the label is just an English word, and that can be used as a point of reference from where you can call your program by using other jump statement or other control flow statement. For here you can see that in that code move ax comma bx is written, then there is a label defined as msi full colon, and then there is some other code. So that label is just a reference point which can be called by other statement. So any English word with a full colon can be used as a label, but you need to understand that these label cannot be any English word which is the keyword, also the keyword of assembly instructions. For example, you cannot use add as a label, you cannot use any instruction as a keyword. So again, there are some limitations that what cannot be used in the name of label. For example, you cannot use spaces between the label on the there are some other restrictions which are represented here. You can check it that while making the label you need to follow these limitations. Then there are subroutines. Subroutine is basically a chunk of portion that you want to repeat in your program. For example, as you have studied about the functions in C language, you make a function. If you want to use a function repeat time or a chunk of code for many times in your programming, you make that chunk of code as a function. So here you can make that chunk as a subroutine. And that what is the difference between a label and a subroutine? How a compiler differentiate between a label and a subroutine? Basically the difference is with the RET statement or RET instruction. That instruction stands for return. Basically, for making a subroutine you need to define a label, then you need to make a portion that you want to be part of that subroutine, and at the end you need to define RET that make that specific portion as a subroutine. For example, here you can see that I make a label, then I have defined different assembly language commands, and then finally I have written RET. So this portion becomes a subroutine, and I can call that subroutine whenever I want to use that, and after calling that subroutine my flow will return back to that point where I have called this subroutine.